is this brief mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Green and Black. This is Mike, and I am here with Justin. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. Dracarys. I actually gotta be careful of saying that because
Yeah,
this past episode was very emotional hearing that phrase.
yeah. There was definitely a lot going on with that this time. So we're here to talk about House of the Dragons, Episode 6, The Queen and the Princess. And
Hmm.
if you hear a little noise in the background, it's because Ian is making a nuisance of himself outside.
Oh yes, I'm wishing you guys the safety. You guys are in my prayers. I know it's looking really wild. I've been looking at the news of that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's actually it made a turn yesterday. It was originally headed right up Tampa Bay, and then it turned a little bit, and it was gonna basically run directly over us, but then it kept turning and went even further south. So we're probably about 40 miles north of it right now, which is the good side of a hurricane to be on. But um, yeah, keep your prayers and thoughts out for the people down in Naples and Fort Myers and Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte and those areas because they are just getting hammered.
Oh yes, I've been seeing a lot of video clips of that, and I sure will. Oh man.
Yeah, so this episode was something. I mean, we start off with a big time jump. We've got some new actors in some roles.
Absolutely. And I was nervous. I mean, we knew about this. We knew about this for months. When they first announced the cast, they announced, a lot of the same characters, such as, Rhaonyra and Alicent, that they're going to have two separate actresses in this case, portraying them. And my initial worries and thoughts were, from being before the show starts, like, oh, there's a good chance I'm going to be really attached to these young actresses for the first few episodes because you spend all this time, these at least 5 hours with them, and they both, I think Millie, I forget her last name, and the other lady that portrayed Allison,
Alcock.
Alaka, yes, thank you. They did a phenomenal job. I have to just really say that they really did a phenomenal job portraying these roles, and everybody else too that have been playing a lot of the younger roles and whatnot. I've been really fully invested in them, and they just been doing. Oh, they got me really invested just through their acting and whatnot. So I was a little bit nervous, going in, but I'm, my trust is with a lot of the showrunners, with the casting directors, and once again, they didn't fail me. I thought this episode was really well thought of, well put together. All the new actresses coming in and actors coming in, they didn't miss a beat. And I like the fact I watched the I don't know if it was the after. I think it was one of the after shows in regards to the episode, and that deliberately had the opening scene be like at least like 7 to 8 minutes long without missing a beat, and you're spending time with with the new Rheanyra and all the other characters because they want you to really introduce you to them and get invested. They called it like it was like a second pilot, but I thought it was really cool. Like they didn't miss a beat, all one shot, staying with them.
Yeah, and that was really crazy. That they call that a like you said a one shot or a oneer they refer it to, where it's just a one long take, and so you go from literally her delivering a baby to wrapping herself up, walking through the Red Keep, walking up the stairs
Up the
and
stairs.
going to see the Queen, and I'm 100% with you. I was really because I had really grown attached to this
Yes,
character of Rhaenyra through Millie Alcock's
absolutely.
portrayal. I thought she was absolutely fantastic, and I'm like, oh, this is really going to be terrible. And Emma Darcy, who took over the role, I man, she nailed it. I think she really gave us a really good performance. She gave us a really good role. I'm really looking forward to what she does with this character, moving forward.
Likewise. Oh, definitely. Likewise as well too. I think she knows what she's doing. Like she didn't look at it and to see like take full advantage of it. She really stepped into the role and continued along. It was a nice fluid transition, and I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of her for that, and I'm just very excited because that was just one episode of them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how she's gonna progress. Because to me, I feel like you can only go up from here.
Yeah, absolutely. And and Olivia Cole, who took over the role of Allison, I mean, she did a fantastic job as well. And
Yeah.
so and so coming into it, like, you have a very different situation, a very different version of Allison here.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
because when we last saw her, she was feeling very alone, very by herself, very unsure. And we fast forward 10 years, and this is a woman who has found her positioning,
Yeah.
has really um, kind of taken control of a lot of things, and you get the feeling that as as Viserys grows weaker, she grows stronger,
She does.
and takes more and more of a position of authority, and has surrounded herself with at least a couple of people who, for better or for worse, are going to
Ooh,
support her.
I'm paying attention to what you said for better or for worse of who she surrounds because there's a lot, and I know we're probably gonna touch on it later on, but yes, I'm like not everybody. Like I said this in past episodes, I'm still saying this. You can't trust anyone in the show. You can't trust anyone. You can't. It's just and how she's backing herself up. I'm like, there's definitely gonna be at some point some double crossing. It's very interesting. But I like what you said too in regards to the now grown Alice is that she really has come to herself, come to be comfortable with her power as queen, and even you see, I noticed a big change in the dynamics between her and Viserys. In the prior episodes with young Allison, she was very gentle. She was very sweet how she talked with him. She was a nice little distraction, as King Viserys said. But now in this episode, she's like, I want to see. I'm not married yet, but and you could probably tell me that's how it is with marriage. Maybe the infatuation, even though I know she was definitely not infatuated with him, but it's probably wear off, and they just they're just keeping it real. I saw her just keeping it real with Viserys. Just being blunt with him when he was gonna. I think he asked her if he was gonna help him with pampering him with the chair. She just immediately walked out. She's just letting him have it. She said.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely, when she that line, it was like, "Oh, you could do what you want when I'm cold in the grave."
Yes,
It's just like,
yes.
she's not taking his crap anymore, and
That's
she
exactly what it
definitely
is.
has taken a position of power even over him. When they have that meeting, the small council meeting, she definitely is kind of acting like she's in charge of that. And kind of, at least in this episode, kind of putting Rhaenyra on the kind of on the defensive a little bit. I think we're
Oh,
probably going to see that change, but
you said
um,
kind. I think she definitely. I think she, at least in this episode, Allison definitely has the upper hand. I think, like you said, she definitely had Rhaenyra in the corner multiple times. I've seen multiple power moves. That Allison is the power move queen. Like the fact, example number one is when literally when she just gave birth to the baby, she requested that the princess she sees the princess in the baby. That was a
she
power move right
she
then and
didn't
there.
expect to see the princess. She wanted to see the baby.
She wanted to see the baby. Oh yeah,
Right, and Rhaenyra
there's
was the one who was like, "No, I am going to go,"
yes.
because she wasn't going to let her have the power move that she thought she was going to have.
Oh yes. You're right. All right, that's a good one. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course at the council meeting where she called and I hope I'm not jumping too soon and talking about this, but she
No,
called
good.
her out on her her I'm trying to be politically correct on how to say this her leakage, I guess.
That's
her
one way to put it.
her mommy. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Mike. Oh man. Yeah, but when she that move right there, I immediately said, I mean, in front of everyone, especially in a room full of men, she's gonna, you will think as, of course, and please, people who are listening, if I'm mansplaining or anything, please let me know in the comments. I'll be looking. I'm speaking from. You think, as two women like that, you think she'll have her back on that, be more considerate, but she went straight for the jab, and exposed her in that light and whatnot, and that
Well,
really.
yeah, I think it was just, it was her opportunity to kind of show a moment of weakness for Rhaenyra, and I
Yes,
think Rhaenyra was kind of, she was the one at that moment who was being reasonable, who was
she absolutely
being
was.
magnanimous, who was taking the steps forward, and I think Alicent maybe felt the table swaying kind of Rhaenyra's way, and so she had to, point out this area of weakness, so to speak,
Oh
um,
yeah, absolutely.
to kind of take the wind out of her sails a little bit.
Yeah, and that's not the first time we've seen that happen with Rhaenyra. I think it was the first episode, I believe. Was it the first episode where she was the cupbearer, and she put she was putting her own 2 cents in, and but
Right. Yeah.
her father Otto Hightower, I guess it runs in the family, you know. I could be mistaken that. Oh man.
No, no, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so that's
Rhaenyra had spoken up about, attacking the stepstones, and
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
Otto had to say something to kind of, put her in her place, or take the thunder away from her a little bit, not
It,
let her have that moment.
yeah, it kind of reminds me
And
of
that's
what.
exactly what Alicent was doing.
Yeah, she certainly did. And Mike, can I tell you something? I live for these moments. I do live for the subtle power moves. The power, like, it lets you know who's really running things. It reminds me, Game of Thrones once again, for one of the best characters, best key players. Oh, Tywin Lannister, when he told Joffrey, I think he did a few times, but when he said the king is tired.
Yeah.
I think Joffrey was about to go off his lid. He was like, "The king is tired. The king." Joffrey sure enough went to bed.
Well,
But
yeah, and that was right after there was a small council meeting, and
I tell you,
they
I,
were arguing with Joffrey, and Joffrey's like, "I'm the king," and Tywin had said, any king who needs to say I am the king is no true king."
there you go. And then you see Joffrey. The last words Joffrey says before he left, he says, "I am not tired." Oh man, that was I love it. But I just say it because I do love those moments. They're very subtle. Well, not in that case, but when they happen though, they're like very good treats for me. So even going back, I mean, I thought it was very very mischievous of her, very very disrespectful. But I enjoyed every bit of it though. It was definitely a nice little shock and laughter. And like you said, Rhaenyra, it really set it threw her off.
Yeah, and so Rhaenyra, needs to backpedal, and she needs to kind of reevaluate her position,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she does a good job in it, and by the end of the episode, in realizing that she needs to, that this place that she's in is Alicent's power base,
Yes,
and
yes.
so she needs to relocate herself, and she, where she throws Laenor's words right back at him,
Yep. With the
you know and says, the wise sailor flees the storm.
before it gathers.
Right.
And I love that. Like she says, listen, we're gonna need all the help we can. So even you come along with your boyfriend. We bring them all.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Because, yeah,
Oh,
because she doesn't really know who she could trust at this point.
that's so true.
Certainly she has lost the, shall we say, the support of Sir Holzgrudge,
Oh,
our friend
absolutely.
Kristen Cole.
Oh, I can't stand him. I'm sorry. I don't. Yeah, yeah. Sir Hoser Gross is definitely. I love that name for him. That's gonna stick with him. He was my least favorite player in that recent episode. He was disrespectful on many occasions for many ways.
Yeah, he is, and obviously he's clearly on the side of Queen Alicent at this
Oh,
point.
absolutely, absolutely.
After she basically pardoned him and saved him. Um, so and you knew that was coming, and you can't really expect that. You
Yeah,
expect that not to be the case.
yeah, absolutely. Like that's what I love about this whole lore in the world of Game of Thrones is that anytime somebody gets really comfortable with each other, especially if a romantic interest, it never lasts. It never lasts. No, if it does last, it's very awkward, cringy, and uncomfortable. And I'm talking about those with the etc. I'm looking at you, Damon, and Rheanyra. I think that, but other than that, any other type of coupling, it's just don't expect a happy ending in any type of way. And clear enough, he fell in love with her, after that one night stand. But she loved the power more. She loved the fact of the crown more, and he grew really, really bitter to the point of killing someone. And now, 10 years later, this man is he I think he uses his words more than he uses his sword at this point.
Yeah.
He'd be throwing daggers with his mouth. It works though. You've seen Harwin Strong. I mean, and we definitely have to talk about that. Those strong features those boys have.
Oh, yeah. I think one difference um, that the show is making from the books is that
Hmm.
it's being very clear about the fact that these are Harwin's kids, whereas the books just kind of hint at it
Okay.
and talk about the rumors. But again, it's this thing. It's like you know that book is written from the point of view of somebody telling a history, and a group of people telling a history. Some of them are more reliable than others, and so just like any story that's told after the fact, there's going to be embellishments and changes
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
inaccuracies.
Absolutely.
And this show is supposed to represent what actually happened. So even George Martin is like, you know this is what happened. This is actually as it happened. The book is somebody telling a story and may or may not be accurate. This is exactly
Yeah.
what happened.
Like you
So
said.
we know for a fact, for instance, that Damon killed his wife. We know for a fact, for instance, that Harwin Strong is the father of these boys. And let's give Harwin Strong the Father of the Year award because so far he seems to be the best father in Westeros.
He really is. He's supportive of his kids. He's kind to them. He sticks up for them when need be. He was really good. And I'm not gonna lie, I was really connecting with him. I was like, yo, this is a good dude. Like he understands his role as a side dude. Other people looking at you, Chris and Cole, did not understand the rules
Exactly.
of it.
You don't get the rules of the game.
Yes, everyone, everyone in the episode knew. Everyone knows what they knew the position, but clearly Kristen Cole was not about that. And so she found. It seemed like she had like a good, perfect setup and everything.
Well,
And
so she thought, yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely. She thought, and once again, oh, I wasn't expecting a few things, and I mind you, I'm not a person who read the books or anything, so seeing that happen, with Harwin and his father, Lionel and all that, that really threw me off. I felt, I guess it was probably like a little bit of like a grief type of thing. I was really disappointed because I was growing to like him. I was already making speculations that down the road he's gonna come back, fight for Rheanyra. He was gonna have a round two with Kristen Cole, and that was really shattered. I was like, oh, okay. I was quickly reminded, and you probably hear me say this a few more times in this episode, that this is still the world, the lore of Game of Thrones. And what Game of Thrones, and rule number one is this: to never get attached to anyone. I was quickly reminded of that rule.
Yes, you do. And just when you get to like somebody, they're gone.
They're
And
gone immediately.
certainly Harwin Strong, reminded us of that rule.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So while we're talking about that, I mean, let's talk about Larys and
Oh my goodness.
what a piece of work this guy is.
He that I'm just blown away by this whole character as a whole. First of all, the actor that's portraying Larys, hats off to him. He's really good. I like the actor. I like how he's portraying it. But Larys, as a character, man, if I could, I'll beat him with the stick.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a very, Littlefinger kind of vibe going for him,
Oh
but
yeah.
he doesn't have the likability of Littlefinger. You know,
Wait, now you think Littlefinger was likable?
I do. I think he had Peter Baelish had a certain the way Aiden Quinn played him. He had a certain charm and a certain flourish that Laris does not have. I think.
I
Um,
I
and
think
he had like this kind of smarminess that
they
I don't
got him
know.
out
It
of a
just
lot of
worked for me.
trouble. And I do agree with you because honestly, Peter Baylor should have been dead since season one. Honestly, for the stuff that he did and how he, but I think because of his charm, his charisma, the way he was able just to manipulate his words to please people, it got him to where he, made him last as long for he did. So I definitely do agree with you, and I hope, I always have to hold myself. I think in regards to Laris, is once again he's relying heavily on his, I think his disability. You know what I mean? I think still people in the beginning, because when I first watched him when he was first introduced, you see him limping and whatnot. I didn't think much of him as a character. Please forgive me, people, for thinking. That's just how I'm just being honest. And then you see him later in that famous scene, or at least for him, when he's sitting with all the maiden ladies and just like paying attention as they gossip. Okay, so that's a little bit interesting. And then things start to really pick up for me with him is with he has that first major conversation with Alicent, I believe in the Godswoods, and
Hmm.
and just now this whole episode, oh my goodness, it's he wow. He's putting he's showing us he's giving us a ride for who he really is right now, and I'm
Right,
just
and
like,
he's got this way of especially with Allison, like he
mm-hmm.
still sees her as this kind of naive, vulnerable. Even though she's gaining strength, she doesn't have like the ability to see him for who he is or not fall into his trap. So when she makes that they're talking about getting getting her father back
Yeah,
after Lionel tries to resign and the king would not have it, and they're talking about that, and she's like, my father, I wish my father was back,
you be
and
partial to me.
yeah, and Laris was like, well, he wouldn't be impartial, and she's like, yeah, but he would be partial to me, like that kind of implicates her in what happens next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
like
it's kind of like you need to Laris sees that as an opportunity, not only for himself because now he becomes the Lord of Harrenhal,
yes,
and he which is one of the wealthier lands in Westeros. So now he becomes just a lord of power within his own right because his father and his older brother are dead, but also he pulls Alicent into that snare, and now she's complicit in their deaths.
yeah,
Is he because he's like, this is what you wanted. I
yeah.
only, you just said what you wanted, and I made it happen.
Yep,
You know,
absolutely, absolutely.
and so she can't even really separate herself from that now.
And he's expected to be rewarded for that. Like he said that, like whole like based on all this happening, like this comes back to help me, down the road. assuming that if Aegon becomes the heir. I don't know if you caught that part as well too. I was like, oh,
Right, because along with being the Lord of Harrenhal, you know that means that all of his bannermen have to go where he points them.
yeah. Oh,
And
that's
he
gonna be interesting.
yeah, and so
I didn't
that's
pick
a
that up.
she can't really afford to alienate him at this point because down the road she's going to need him and his power.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. Oh,
And
he's.
whereas Lionel Strong, if he had to call his banners, would have put them behind Rhaenyra because that's what his king wanted. And whereas Harwin, if he was the Lord of Harrenhal, he would have put
Oh, definitely, because those are his kids.
his right,
Now, see,
you
that
know.
makes sense
But
now.
but now that whole thing, that whole power balance flips.
Yes, and that makes sense to me now because when Larry did what he did, especially to his father and brother, when I watched that, I really had to process that because that to me is like that was a left field thing. Like one, my initial reaction is like, how could you do that to your own family, to your own father, and to your own brother? And that went even further back. I'm like, okay, so in these previous scenes that they may have had together, did you see anything about how the dynamics between him and Larys and Lionel or Larys and Harwin? I didn't see much. It felt like even like he had a good relationship with his family. So I'm trying to figure out like where's the motive like in him like that. I wanted to see something like that, but I think that might
Well,
be. Go ahead.
I don't think the motive was anything personal with them. I think the motive. I mean, other than the fact that maybe he had a little kind of younger brother thing
That
going on.
And by the way, that's a big important. That's a very important thing. Being a second son.
Especially when your older brother is literally the strongest man in Westeros, and this very successful, handsome knight, and you are
Who you are.
clubfoot, and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So
Yes.
there's
Yes.
definitely that, and since that kind of thing is
Reminds me of Terry and Jamie complex too.
exactly, and there's no doubt about who Lionel's love is for it, right? So there's that a little bit of that dynamic, but I really think it had
Mm.
very little to do with that, and it was all about Larys saw an opportunity to advance himself and to gain a stronger foothold of power, and he just took that opportunity.
Okay, and that aspect and even process, I can understand that. It's like, what would you do for power? What would you do just to obtain power? It reminds me of little. I was about to call him Littlefoot. Think of the Land Before Time. I don't know how I got in here, but that's mentioned into this episode now. But it reminds me of Littlefinger, of how he was willing to give up his love for Cat. You know, like give up his love for Cat with starting the wars of the Five Kings, just so like he could obtain power. Willing to to sacrifice even Sansa on different occasions for him to attain what he really wanted in terms of power. And I'm sure there's been other people as well too, throughout even Game of Thrones. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna see more people, especially now with children being involved. We'll see if they're willing to give up their families, just to obtain power or whatnot. That's just my guess, my theories popping in, based off even what you just said, as just shared right now.
Yeah, and Laris also knows that creating this kind of disorder
Yeah.
when he's planning it, you know what I'm saying? Like he knows what's going to happen. So, and again, it reminds me of Littlefinger. One of my favorite moments of Game of Thrones is in the third season episode, The Climb. There's this scene between Varys and Littlefinger where,
Oh,
basically
I love them together, by the way.
Varys comes in and he thinks he has the upper hand over Littlefinger, and Littlefinger very quickly flips it over and is like, "Oh no, I know that you sent Rose to spy on me,
Yes.
and so
He took,
I, you were supposed to protect her, you didn't,
and Joffrey got to.
and
Yeah, he
Joffrey
did.
got to, and I did a favor for Joffrey, so now that advances me." And and then he goes on to this this whole chaos is a ladder speech,
Chaos
which
is
I think
ladder.
is one of the greatest monologues in all of
I love that one.
Game of Thrones.
Even Braun brings it back to him when he said it to him.
And so that speech, Peter's talking about taking advantage of chaos, and that's exactly the kind of attitude that Larys has. I kill these two guys. There's chaos, there's confusion,
Yep, yep.
and I have a path that I'm taking, and I know which way I'm going to go, and I can advance myself. So he is.
You, if you don't mind, I think you really on it. And there's a quote that he says towards the end, and that scene where he's with Alicent in regards to about the rose growing or standing on their own. And I believe he's referring to himself being that rose that's growing.
I think he's referring. I think he's referring to Alicent.
I thought that originally too,
But I think yes, he's also referring to himself.
because he's
It's kind of
definitely
these multi. He's talking about the flower, and this is a flower that should not be growing here. It's not native to this place. Because he had brought it up a couple episodes before.
yes, yes,
He's like, this flower doesn't grow here, and it shouldn't even be thriving here, but it is. And and I think he was using it to refer to Alicent, but he was also using it to refer to himself.
absolutely yes. I'm Mike. I agree with you 1,000%. Yes, absolutely. And if you don't mind, even still staying on Larys, he knows his name. I gotta bring back to what you said last episode of this podcast because that really blew my mind about that theory. And now watching all the more, I feel like it's all but just confirmed. Like we're gonna see confirmation of that theory being true.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe what?
well, I mean, you could take a couple things away from all the rats and everything like that. It could also be kind of a symbol of the decay of
Well, these things are definitely decaying with the family structure. I'm assuming, but I
right.
think he's a seer.
He could be. He could be.
And
He certainly would make sense.
and I think this. If you don't mind, I'm gonna throw some more theories out there. I think he's gonna be training Alicent's daughter. What's her name?
Helena.
Laena, because the way she was talking in that one little scene that she was in, it seemed to me like she was like prophesying. And then there's also her with bugs and scorpions and all that stuff. That's creepy stuff. And this man has a lot of bugs as well too. So I'm thinking maybe they might be warging to even bugs at this point. So you're gonna see some rats, some bugs, and he might be training her up, or maybe they might. I don't know. That's just my connection on some things.
Possibly. Yeah.
Mike, I feel like Simon, Mike, and some of, but I appreciate you still not spoiling things. I don't because I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm just trying to put the pieces. But the way you just hesitated and said possibly. Okay, I'm not all right. We'll play this game, Mike. We'll play this game.
So yeah, so Helena does become an important part of the story as she grows older, and especially once she becomes a mother.
Wait, she becomes a
And
mother?
yeah, I mean don't forget this whole Dance of the Dragons things takes like 20 years or so, right?
Oh my
This whole
goodness!
story. So you're gonna see all these kids. You're gonna, you know, maybe in the second season or third season or whatever, you're gonna see all these kids recast as adults.
Oh my goodness!
And in fact, if you even look at like the behind the episode things, like a lot of times when they're interviewing the kids, it says like young Aegon,
Yes, I noticed
right?
that. I noticed.
There's going to be an adult Aegon at some point. I don't know if they've cast them yet. I don't know if they're going. This kid's probably good through the end of the season.
Yeah.
At least as long as he can fit in that window, and then. Boy, you did take the bait on that one.
Well, all the windows. I'm just listening. And I was thinking. I'm thinking to myself. I wonder if Reagan plugged that one. Oh my goodness, bait in the window. That. Oh my gosh. I want to re-listen to this episode. Yes! We need to talk about that as well too.
Yeah, a grown man maybe can't stand up in the window. I don't know,
No,
but
no, no, no. You might get arrested for that one. This
yeah,
boy is wow.
but no, seriously though, she's going to become important to the story. There's definitely going to be some things going on. Um, and yeah, so I mean, but who knows how long forward, but yeah, it's tough for me to not say stuff when we were talking about and I could say it because it was in the coming next week episode. um when we were talking back in, what was it, episode 3 or 4 or whatever, when they were talking about when they dismissed Otto, it's like he's coming. I knew he was coming back.
Oh,
I didn't want to break it to you, but because you were so happy he was gone, I'm like,
I
dude,
was.
he's gonna be back in 2 episodes.
Oh man, and just as you said that right now, my heart just scrunched because I can't stand him, and I know with him being back and the king, at this point we're gonna be seeing a skeleton for the king next episode. That's how I feel. At this point,
Yeah, seriously, he's gonna be looking like Smeagol, man. He's just ooh.
Smeagol. Yeah, it's really grotesque. I cringe every time he's on the screen. So I'm like, I'm kind of waiting for this for that to happen. But I know once he does pass away, all hell's gonna break loose.
Well, yeah, and that's really what kicks it off. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my
And
god.
I've said this to you before. This season is all prologue.
Oh my.
Everything we're seeing is all prologue to the
Ugh.
actual Targaryen civil war, the actual lines being drawn, um, and things really kind of going crazy. And this is a multi-generational story. You know,
That's
this
I
story
didn't
goes
know all that.
this story goes through to Rheanyra's grandkids. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is and Alicent's grandkids. I mean, this is a long term kind of thing. I don't know how deep they're going to take this um, into the show. I think they had said 4 seasons. I don't know how far that's going to take us, but yeah, this is a multi generational story, and they can really kind of go with it.
Yeah, and I said this last episode. I'm gonna say it again. Is that I think we'll have to just give in and start reading the books. And I know you said it was a little bit complicated, but I'm willing to take the risk to read it
Yeah, well,
because
this show's based on one book, and it's a pretty quick book. It's a pretty quick read.
quick one. Okay, you're thinking about I'm thinking about the Fire and Ice, Song of Fire and Ice. Yeah, I want to do that because
Fire and Blood.
Fire. This is Fire and Blood, and
This is
then
Fire and Blood. Fire and Ice. A
is
Song of Fire and Ice is the Game of Thrones
Game of
books,
Thrones.
and there's
That's the more complicated.
multiple books there.
Yeah, yeah. I want to read Fire and Blood because HBO takes their sweet time. I feel like the second season is not gonna come out till maybe late 2024. Honestly, and so I don't know. I don't have the patience to wait that long. So I definitely want to read and just really get into it. But I'm just excited though. I'm really excited to see how this is gonna play play through and whatnot. I think they're doing a great job. Just even setting up, even even with the children and whatnot. Like that whole scene where it reminded me. It was a parallel to Alicent being her father and Aegon being a young Alicent. After that infamous scene I don't even want to talk about. All I know, I love what you said to me earlier today about you would hate to be anyone that was living literally under those windows because nothing good comes from that section from that area. Which is
Yeah, seriously, and it's how weird of a scene is that? I mean, yeah, maybe that was another power move from Alicent, just walking in, but it's I mean, just walk into your 15-year-old kid's room. You know what I'm saying? It's
I know,
I
and
just
that's
wait for Aegon to be like, "Mom."
yeah, I was expecting that too, but it seems like that was not the first time because she didn't
Probably
freak
not.
out.
She was kind of like, "Oh God."
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, hurry up and finish. I got something to talk to you about. It's just
It's like 7 hells, Aegon. We have time for this.
you're supposed to be the air. He gotta finish this up. But yeah, But that was reminds me like he's a little bit like Damon and Rhaenyra. Like he's gonna do what he wants to do, you know. And it's so funny
But yeah,
how Alicent when she sees Damon acting like that, and even sees Rhaenyra to the point where she's bitter towards Rhaenyra. She's perfectly fine with him doing that disgusting type of stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I get Alicent on one hand, like she wants to um hold up decency and make things every right, but you're being a hypocrite just in that instance right there, you know. So it goes back to what I'm saying, like every to me, I can't trust everyone. Like there's no, which I do love about this show. There's no easy way to pick a side. Like I can't pick side green because on one hand, uh, you know, King Viserys made out Rhaenyra the heir and whatnot, and that's what his words is law at the moment. And I can't be Team Black because Allison brings up some good points. Those are some very plain looking boys. She said. And by the way, going back to Allison talking about to Laena, that little side shade dig that she said to him, where she told him to keep trying. I'm sure one of these days these kids are gonna look like you. That was
right. That was cold.
that was cold blooded indeed.
I mean, you got to give it to Leonor and Rhaenyra for keeping up appearances. You know what I'm saying? Like, even among themselves, they're talking about like his interest in the boys, or blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
you're their father. Like, it's like, is he though? Like,
Is he
he
though?
knows. He knows he's not.
I mean, you gotta be pretty blind. I mean, at least in the show wise, to yeah, yeah. But once again, it goes back to say everybody knows the roles. They know what part they need to play. But it's getting a little bit crazy now. Everybody, like Allison said, one is a mistake, but three is an insult to the crown.
Yeah, and that becomes a problem, and also an opportunity, because if Rhaenyra was just like some other princess, you know what I'm saying, and that happened, like nobody, it would just be like court gossip and nobody would care, right? But
Yep,
if Rhaenyra becomes the queen, then
that creates.
Jace becomes the king after her, and that becomes a problem because he's not who he's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And in that part, Allison does have an excellent claim to stand on. At least for her son as whatnot, because he is legit blood of King Viserys. He is the firstborn, legitimate.
Right, and he's right. Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, and not that, I mean, Jace is he does have Targaryen blood. He is Rhaenyra's
He
son.
is, but yeah, but you know
But it's
how.
also, yeah, but it's also he's not who he's supposed to be. And if it comes out that he's not a Valarian, are the Valarians going to support him? I mean, there's a whole lot going on with that, which is why it needs to be kept the way that it is.
Yeah, he's a smart boy. He asked his mom straight up. He's like, "Yo, real talk. Is Harvard my dad? Because people are talking." And she played her cards right. It reminded me of Cersei right there. She says, "Just know that you are a Targaryen.
Yeah,
And that's all
exactly.
that
It doesn't
matters.
doesn't matter what else you are. You're a Targaryen, and that's all that matters.
You can ride a dragon. All right, that's all you need. If somebody says that, you get on your dragon, you sage your cars, and you burn them up."
Yeah. Speaking of Valarian, should we talk about the other part, the B part of the story?
Oh, I don't know
Laena and
about the. I need a moment because I really grieved that one, Mike. Let's go there. Let's go there. I'm sorry. I might be a little bit emotional, you guys. Bear with me. Yes. I love Leda for by the way. I truly, and not because the grown up ones. She's very very. They picked a really excellent actress, very 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 pretty whatnot. I was smitten on the TV camera, but I just love that character. Even as a younger, she was really so fascinated by Vagar, that dragon, and then to see. I fell for the trap. I was attached, but go ahead, continue on. I was attached, so I'm in the 5 stages of grief right now.
it's understandable, and obviously since she is, um, for her to be so young and to be, riding that dragon, who is the largest and
The
oldest
largest.
dragon that after Balerion the Black Dread died, you know, and that says something about her, and to put her in the same position, that Emma was in the first
Yes,
episode,
yes,
right? And to
yes.
put Damon in the same position that Viserys was, and I thought it was a really interesting turnaround. Whereas in episode one, Emma basically had her agency taken from her,
Yeah,
and Viserys made the decision, and that was it. And they go and they give the midwife gives the same decision to
Damon.
Damon,
Mm-hmm.
and you know Lena's not having that, and she's like, I'm going to make my own decision, and I'm going to go this way, you know, and decide that she's not going to die in childbirth
No,
because she's a Valerian, and that's not how she's going to go. She's a dragon rider,
it's
and that's
true.
not how she's going to go out.
And you know what's? It's really, I was in denial, but I caught it immediately. I caught that foreshadow when she had that conversation with Damon and says, "I want to go out like a dragon rider's death." I was assuming, well, okay, there's gonna be an eventual battle. I'm still thinking seasons down the road where she's gonna get a dragon's rider's death. She's gonna get burned up by another dragon, and that's the way that she wanted to go. Not knowing that 40 minutes later, I was gonna get a front row seat ticket to her getting that dragon's rider's death, the sympathy death, because that dragon
Well,
they I can't even say the name of
not
it,
exactly a dragon's rider's death, but
but it
you
was
know,
not.
but it
Yeah,
wasn't dying in childbirth either.
dying at childbirth. Yes, it was something a little bit more spicy, if you know what I mean. Definitely a little bit more spicy in that part. And even that dragon was like, girl, you sure? You sure about
Yeah, I
this?"
mean, and again, the fact that Vagar was like hesitant, you know,
Absolutely. I was hesitant. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. But she was going to die regardless, though.
correct,
Yeah.
right?
But I was just, it was, that was very tough.
Yeah, and she played that part. Could feel the desperation, but also the power in that performance. It was
That
just a
was,
really tough moment.
yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. They're just not playing around though. I mean, this show's gonna be known for characters that you love within one episode, and then and within that same episode dying a memorable death. I'll put it nicely like that. So I feel like I've definitely readjusted my expectations and whatnot. If I see someone new coming on in the future episodes, I just don't expect them to live much longer. That's just my mentality at this point. If they survive an episode, kudos to them, but don't expect it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely going to be, a lot of people going to be dying before this thing is over.
Oh my
Um,
goodness, I don't know if I can do this. Oh man. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
right. So I think we're going to see this. I think this next episode coming up is going to be something.
Oh.
Um, yeah, because based on the trailer
Oh.
and the snippets that they show, and what I know, some of the stuff that I know happens, this should put a couple people back.
I know. I mean, I'm nowhere near where you are, but I put some pieces together. Like I know some crazy stuff is about to happen. Some members might be losing something. I'm just gonna leave it like that.
That's exactly true.
I'm not looking forward to seeing that scene, so I might have to brace myself with that. But I'm very much interested in seeing that one particular scene that was in the trailer where Allison grabs the what do you call it, the dagger,
The cutthroat dagger.
Cutthroat dagger, and I don't know what fully happens, but the words that Rhaenyra says to her, and I love it. She goes, "And now they see you as you truly are." Whoa, that sent shivers down my spine. So I'm looking forward just to seeing the full context of that, and the scene that scene being portrayed out. And
Yeah, there may be some editing tricks in that. I
uh,
don't know that it's exactly going to play out in the episode the way it plays out in the trailer.
okay, so they're doing like a
But
Marvel thing. They're trying to okay.
yeah, I still think it's going to be. But yes, I still think that moment is going to be very dramatic and very powerful. Um, and I think you're really going to solidify kind of the lines drawn between these two women.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, because I wonder how Damon's gonna play a part in this too, because I mean, because I've been reading on some stuff, I've been watching some stuff, so I know some stuff that's gonna stir the pot big time, and I saw some of the scenes, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I just Mike, I don't want to spoil things for people, so I'm not gonna say it, but Mike, you somehow I know you can read my mind. Just read my mind right now. I know you know.
Well, I mean, we know that Damon's a free agent again.
So is Rhaenyra. And then it's interesting that both of the lovers died by fire. They both died by some form of fire. Har and Lily died in the fire. The house fire, and then Laena, by her dragon fire. And you speaking of free agents, some dragons I don't see. I feel like maybe some of them might be free agents as well. You know what I mean?
That's true, and and there are people yet to get their dragons. There was a very key line that was said to Aemon that is going to be very important. We'll talk about it after it happens.
Okay, okay, because I know that line you're talking about. I know. Okay, okay. All right. Yes, I can't wait. And it is that line that she said. Oh, okay. Sorry, Mike. You're gonna get me in trouble. I don't want people coming after me with torches and stuff. Okay. Actually, I don't want you to come after me. So Justin.
I'm not gonna come after you, dear.
Okay. All right. I'm not saying nothing. It's just, but like you said, just I just know from the little that I know just when you think things can't get even crazier, it's gonna get crazier. And I'm all for it. I'm 1,000% for it. I'm just like, this is some wild stuff. I'm so grateful for this show. I really am. It's different from Game of Thrones, but I'm enjoying it just like the same amount as I did with Game of Thrones when it was on. So and I'm talking about the good Game of Thrones, not the last few seasons. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, I will say though that moment where Helena makes a comment to Aemon, that supports your theory that she knows a little more than she's letting on.
Yeah, because when she said that one line, and I did some research afterwards and went back to that scene, I said, "Oh, okay, okay." So I have a magnifying glass, and my magnifying glass is definitely hovering over her. I don't know much about her, but from the few lines that she said, it's definitely on her. I'm very intrigued by her character and how she's gonna be down the road. I'm intrigued by all of them. And that's my homework. I gave myself homework from from this weekend is to memorize all these kids' names, because if I don't memorize these kids' names now and next week we get some more kids, I'm just gonna forget about it.
Yeah, it's important. You got to kind of keep on top of who's who, and it's really going to throw you for a loop. Is there's going to be two kids with the same name.
Oh Lord, that's gonna mess me up. That is gonna mess me up. Oh, is it? Is it? Is it? I have a feeling it's gonna be Aegon, because Aegon that's a very popular name.
That's true. It is a very popular name.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Aegon, a. Okay, yeah. I'm already done. Those episodes, man. This show, I love it.
All right, brother. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yes,
And
thank you guys.
that's a wrap for this week. And we will talk to you again next week after episode 7,
I'm sure my mouth and eyes are gonna be
which
still to the ground.
which the title of episode 7 is Driftmark. So
We're
keep
going back to
that
Driftmark.
in your chain of thoughts.
We're going back to Driftmark,
Oh, absolutely, we're going back to Driftmark.
and that's where Elena's from, right? That's where she wanted to go, correct?
Yeah, yeah, that's what she wanted to be. You know, that funeral that we see at the beginning of the trailer is clearly her funeral,
That's wow. So she got her wish, but
just
she's
not the way
dead.
she wanted.
That's not the way she wanted. Oh, that's so Game of Thrones. Okay, that's so House of the Dragon. Excuse me. I'm looking forward to it though.
So am I. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Vala Morghulis.
Copy and paste what he said.